Hello, welcome to our webinar today. So yeah, currently I saw some participants coming in. So let's just wait for a few minutes to allow everyone to be settled. Hi, just to let you know, this Zoom webinar also streaming live in our Facebook, Utah for you. So you have some friends or family that not yet registered in this Zoom webinar, feel free to ask them to join this webinar in Facebook as well. Yeah. Okay. So actually, can my audience hear me? If you can hear me, say hi, hello. Hello, hello, can you hear me? Okay, so I think we are good to go now. So hello everyone, welcome to our webinar for today, faculty preview for our Deconstruction of Faculty of Engineering and Science. Thanks for joining us in this afternoon. Okay, so currently we only have 2 participants, but don't worry. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ken from Division of Program Promotion, Utah. And I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Let me just quickly brief through for today's rundown. This webinar will be divided into 2 parts. It will start with the webinar, which is the topic faculty preview for our Deconstruction Faculty of Engineering and Science. And we follow up by a short Q&A section in the last 15 minutes for our webinar. So you are welcome to post your questions in the Q&A tab in this Zoom webinar, so we can pick up your questions at the end of these sections. The whole live webinar will be roughly around 1 hour or less. Okay. So let me just quickly brief through for our today's speaker. Today our speaker is Dr. Chian, Associate Professor, a professional engineer from our Lee Gong Chen Faculty of Engineering and Science. He also our head of department for our electrical and electronics engineering. Dr. Chang completed his bachelor degree in electrical and electronic engineering at University of Northumbria in Newcastle, and pursued his master and PhD in this telecommunication engineering field. Currently, his area of expertise in Utah will be focused on image and video processing, video communication, and also digital home. Okay, so without any delay, let us welcome today our speaker, Dr. Chang. So, hello, Dr. Chang, are you there?
Hi, Ken. Yeah, thank you so much, Ken. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. I can hear you clearly, Dr. Chang. Oh, nice background. Okay.
Introducing me.
Yeah, I pass the floor to you, so you can start your webinar today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much to Ken.
Yeah, sure, welcome.
Thank you so much to all the participants. Some of the participants are joining this webinar from Zoom. I know some of the participants are actually watching the Facebook Live from Utah for you. Thank you so much for everyone. Hopefully everyone has taken your lunch. I'm Chang. I'm the head of department for Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering at Utah. Okay, basically for the next probably about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, I'll be sharing with you the courses in my faculty. Probably because I'm the head of department for Department of Electrical and Electronic, I will probably spend a little bit more time into the various programs, various courses in my department, what is electrical, what is electronic. But don't worry, I will also briefly touch about others undergraduate programs in my faculty, like for example, QS, architecture, and so on. Okay, now, basically, so for those who read the newspaper, okay, this is the news came out from the Star newspaper, I remember last week, Saturday. Okay, so everyone's know, okay, we are now in unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic. Basically, of course, we are, as our Prime Minister probably as our leaders say, we are now living in a new normal. Okay, the new normal basically, one thing, for example, whenever we go out, most of the time we have to wear a face mask. Okay, definitely this COVID-19, this new normal will affect a lot of our activities of daily living including our job. Okay, lots of people probably may be required to work from home. For example, like this year, I'm supposed to make a number of the overseas trip, but due to COVID-19 pandemic, so I can't travel to overseas for the business trip. And under the old normal, okay, rather than the webinar through Zoom, usually Utah, whenever we conduct this kind of course program preview, most of the time, it is face-to-face. Okay, basically, some of the jobs, they are at risk. Basically, some people probably, they may lose their job due to artificial intelligence, due to COVID-19. Okay, but some of the jobs, some of the people, they lose a job, but at the same time, because of artificial intelligence, because of COVID-19, some new jobs are actually created. Some professions, for example, engineers, basically, the company, because of the artificial intelligence, because of COVID-19, they need more and more engineers. Okay, now let's look at the statistic according to the Star newspaper last week. At the bottom, basically, some because of artificial intelligence, because of COVID-19, some of the jobs like waiter and waitress, okay, they have a high chance to get automated. The job of a waiter and waitress, their job could be replaced by a machine. Okay, let me share with you an example. Yesterday afternoon, so I had a drink at one coffee shop. Okay, so in the Old Town coffee shop. Okay, rather than ask the waiter to come to take my order, so some of the Old Town, probably some of the coffee shop, we have to order using our phone. Okay, because of the ordering through the phone, so the waiter did not have to come to serve me. Okay, probably you can say like a self-service. Okay, because of I believe the coffee shop, the restaurant, they want to minimize the contact between the customer and the waiters. Okay, and probably because of COVID-19, partly because of artificial intelligence, and also because of the cost-cutting measure, more and more restaurants, they are removing the waiters. In the future, probably, but it could be very likely whenever we go to the restaurant, the first thing we may need to the restaurant may need to scan our temperature. After that, once we are inside the restaurant, we may have to everything do self-service. Okay, the other one, so the job at risk is receptionist. Receptionist probably, for example, let's say 10 years ago, 20 years ago, lots of company, they have one or two receptionists to meet with the guests, to receive the guest. Whenever you go to the company, probably go to the office building, you will actually realize that there are less and less receptionists. Okay, basically, quite a number of jobs, they could be at risk, and quite a number of jobs, it will actually be replaced, partly due to artificial intelligence, partly due to fourth industrial revolution, partly due to COVID-19. Okay, out of the so-called high risk job to get replaced. So basically, you don't see the word engineers. Okay, basically because of artificial intelligence, because of COVID-19, engineers are still in good demand. Very often, a lot of companies in Penang, especially those in electronic, the HR manager, the senior engineer, they contact me, say, okay, whether I have probably some department student who are about to graduate to introduce to the company, because in actual fact, according to my understanding, lots of semiconductor engineering companies based in Penang, they are still aggressively hiring. Okay, now, according to World Economic Forum, skill outlook, some of you may know what is World Economic Forum. Okay, according to World Economic Forum, by 2022, the skill which are in growing demand, the first one, it is analytical thinking. Okay, analytical thinking, basically you need to do a lot of analysis. Okay, you need to do a lot of analysis. Basically, this kind of analytical thinking, the job, okay, cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence. Okay, the other one is active learning. What is the meaning of active learning? Basically, okay, active learning basically is we know what is the new skill set we need to learn. Just like, after the lockdown, something new I've learned since March is giving webinar, how to conduct online teaching. Okay, this is something, as human, we know what is a new skill set that we need to learn. So at the moment, artificial intelligence, AI machine, so is not able to do active learning at the moment. Okay. The other one very important is creativity skill set. We need to come up with new product. Okay, just like for example, because of COVID-19 pandemic, okay, companies they need to come up with the new product. For example, company, or let's say retailer, they need to come up with, let's say, some product, or probably they need to do some changes in the shop in order to minimize the contact, okay, between the staff and the customer. And the other one, number 6 in growing demand, is what we call complex problem solving. Complex problem solving, basically, whenever you do engineering program, one of the emphasis of engineering program at Utah is we train, okay, the student how to solve complex engineering problem. Okay, what is complex engineering problem? Okay, one example. Okay, the definition of complex engineering problem is, first thing, we seldom encounter the problem. Okay, we seldom encounter the problem. One very good example is COVID-19. Okay, COVID-19 is something probably very rare. Okay, one example of the complex problem solving, okay, is a particular company has to get, quite a number of stuff. Let's say we talk about a shopping mall. Okay, nowadays, a lot of shopping mall, the huge one, they may have a lot of entrances. Okay, according to the government SOP, whenever someone enters into the shopping mall needs to check the temperature of the person. Not only that, the shopping mall has to ensure that whoever enters the shopping mall has to check in using, for example, My Sejahtera app. Okay. One very good example of the complex engineering problem is, okay, how do we automate everything? For example, instead of getting someone to manually check the temperature of the customer, instead of getting someone just to make sure the customer actually check in to My Sejahtera, how do we come up with an engineering product, a new product with minimal cost that can do everything? Okay, I believe probably, let's say in a few months' time, some company, they may come up with a new product that can actually maybe solve this problem. Solve this problem, for example, first thing, to check the temperature of the person. The other one, make sure the machine is able to check, okay, whether the customer who goes into the shopping mall has already checked in, okay, using My Sejahtera and this kind of thing. Okay, what is engineering? Okay, one of the role of the engineering basically is they make things better. Okay, what is the meaning of they make things better? Okay, just for example, at Utah, not only at Utah, I believe now a lot of probably office building, a lot of probably shopping mall, they have a machine that is able to check whether the person entering the building is wearing a face mask, and the machine is able to automatically measure, okay, the temperature of the person going into the building. Okay, but at the moment, the machine is not able to check whether the person has checked in using My Sejahtera app. Okay, something probably engineer can do is to make the machine better. How engineers can actually improve the machine by making sure the machine is able to check the temperature, the machine is able to check whether the person is wearing a face mask, and the machine is able to check whether the person entering the building has checked in using My Sejahtera. Okay, engineer is to make things better, is to create new solution, is to come up with better thing. Okay, now whenever we talk about engineer, whenever student graduate, I always tell my student, I always tell my final project student, when you work as an engineer, most of the time, okay, the challenge given to you by the boss, okay, has no obvious solution. Most of the time, when the boss asks you to solve a problem, when you work as an engineer, don't go to Google, and don't waste your time to go to Google and ask for the solution. Why? Because as engineer, usually we need to be trained to solve a problem, and usually the problem is complex. No straightforward solution. Whenever there's no straightforward solution, okay, basically most of the time Google has no solution. You go to ask Google, okay, probably Google may give you different various, maybe not relevant solution. Okay, engineers use their creativity to design solution. Okay, to design solution, that means, for example, just now I said, at the moment, the artificial intelligence machine to check the body temperature, okay, and to check whether or not you are wearing a face mask. At the moment, the machine is not able to check whether you have checked in using the My Sejahtera app. Okay, and something engineers has to do is to make the machine better. Make the machine, okay, and the machine, it will be good if the engineer can improve the machine so that machine can also make sure the person had checked in to My Sejahtera. Okay, now let's talk about probably different kinds of engineering. Okay, first thing, electrical engineering. Okay, electrical engineering basically, okay, especially in Malaysia, from the perspective of Board of Engineer Malaysia, okay, it is talk about high voltage engineering, talk about TNB, Tenaga Nasional Berhad. I would say different countries, the electrical engineering program could be slightly different. Okay, but so my understanding is the electrical engineering in Malaysia, basically most of them, they focus into power system. They focus, for example, into solar energy. They focus into how, for example, TNB generate the electricity, how TNB transmit the power from one place to the other. Okay, this is, and basically the job of electrical engineering sometimes, maybe can say a little bit risky because, we are talking about not only 240 watt, we are talking about 11 kilowatt and sometimes even higher than that. Okay, this is what we call electrical engineering. Okay, for electrical engineering, basically, electrical engineering at Utah, I believe, electrical engineering at, at other universities in Malaysia. Basically, of course, in year 1 and year 2, we have to teach about the fundamental basic electronic, basic computer programming skill, electromagnetic theory, basically, so students have already learned from physics. Of course, the electromagnetic theory you learn in year 1, year 2 at UTA will be more complicated, okay, more complex compared to the electromagnetic theory in SPM, SDPM, and so on. So, but when you go to year 3 and final year, okay, focus will be given on, for example, high voltage engineering, electrical building design, power electronic, this kind we call power system. Okay. On the other hand, electronics engineering. Electronic engineering basically, is the small integrated IC, small IC, small chipset we find on our smartphone, our tablet, our laptop, and so on. Okay, for electronics engineering, basically, for those who prefer, to go to pure electronics engineering, okay, Utah Gampa campus, we do actually have electronics engineering, pure electronics engineering. Okay, the pure electronics engineering, basically, in year 1 and year 2, it is very, very similar to electrical engineering. But when you go to year 3 and year 4, so you learn, for example, VLSI design, IC design, microelectronic fabrication, and so on. Okay, before we go to communication engineering, okay, quite a number of universities, they have electrical and electronic engineering. Just like my department offer electrical and electronic engineering. Okay, the electrical and electronic engineering in my department basically focuses more into the first E. It focuses more into electrical power system. So the graduate from my department in electrical and electronic engineering, when they go to Board of Engineer Malaysia to register as graduate engineer, they actually register under electrical engineering discipline. Okay, different university, the focus of electrical and electronic engineering is different. Just like, so my background 21 years ago, so my bachelor degree was, electrical and electronics engineering. Okay, but the program of my electrical electronic engineering, so the subject I took is more towards electronic. I took VLSI design, I took digital signal processing, I took embedded system design. So when I went to Board of Engineer, BEM, Board of Engineer Malaysia, to register as graduate engineer, when they look at my transcript, so they put me under electronic engineering discipline. So to different university, electrical and electronic engineering, so the specialization, the focus could be slightly different. Okay, some students may say, okay, we are now into the era of 5G, AI, big data. Okay, so if you are very interested into 4G and 5G and so on, something you should seriously consider is my department, we have one program called Electronic and Communication Engineering. Okay, at Utah, we call the program Communication Engineering. Some other university, they may call it telecommunication. So it is exactly the same. Okay, for the communication engineering or telecommunication engineering program at Utah, so we focus into the fundamentals of 5G. So not only that, we focus, whenever we talk about telecommunication, when we talk about 5G, in order to link up the base station, from one base station to the other base station of 5G, so it needs a lot of optical fiber communication. The student of our communication engineering will also focus pretty much into another aspect, which is optical fiber communication. Of course, the traditional microwave communication, the traditional satellite communication, it will not be neglected. Okay, so communication engineering, of course, student will study networking, will study about routing, will study about the Wi-Fi, all these the fundamentals of the communication engineering or the fundamentals of the telecommunication engineering. Okay, the jobs of prospect, lots of graduate from my department in communication engineering. Okay, they work in various companies. For example, one I like to highlight is Huawei. My department and Utah, we are working closely with Huawei. For example, some of you may know Utah is actually Huawei, part of Huawei ICT Academy. What is Huawei ICT Academy? So Utah, we have signed an agreement with Huawei. So after signing the Huawei ICT Academy agreement with Huawei, the lecturer, we can actually access to lots of training material provided by Huawei. For example, Huawei networking training material, Huawei 4G, Huawei 5G material. Not only that, some of the stuff is even certified by Huawei as an expert in networking, expert in artificial intelligence. Okay, for communication engineering, year one and year two basically study the basic electronic programming. But when we go to year three and year four, we will focus into more fundamentals of advanced digital communication, focus into fiber optical communication, focus into cyber security, 5G mobile. Okay, now the other I would say quite a unique program in my department, we call electronic in computer networking engineering. Okay, what is the specialization of electronic and computer networking engineering? Of course, the fundamental, it is still electronics engineering. But when a student go to year three and year four, they will focus into probably into, let's say, cloud computing. Okay, probably some of you may know because of the COVID-19, because of the COVID-19 actually causes a lot of people may have to work from home. Okay, when you work from home, basically something we rely a lot, it is a cloud computing platform. Okay, not only that, okay, so for computer networking engineering, probably for this year, we plan. So for the computer networking engineering to also study some courses in artificial intelligence. So for those who like to know, okay, so for those who like to focus into 5G, then I would suggest to enroll into our communication engineering. For those who say, oh, I would like to know, okay, what are probably something very new, for example, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, the basic electronic, then I would suggest to enroll into our computer networking engineering. Okay, a little bit about my department. So my department, so at the moment, so there are 38 academic staff with 92% of them, they've got PhD qualification. Okay, out of 13 academic staff, there are at least out of 38 academic staff, at least 13 of them with Board of Engineer Malaysia professional engineer qualification. And my department, there are 4 programs, electrical electronic, which focuses into more to electrical power system. We have got electronic and communication engineering, which is basically focused into the fundamentals, focus into 5G and fundamentals of 5G. We have got electronic in component networking, basically which focuses into cloud computing, and very soon the student will also get specialized in artificial intelligence if they enroll into computer networking. But on top of that, we have a classic program. We have a classic program, Bachelor of Science in Physics. Okay, our external examiner every academic program at Utah that is external examiner from overseas university. Like our external examiner are from Taiwan, 2 from Taiwan and 2 from the UK. Okay, other engineering programs at Utah, we've got biomedical, we've got chemical, we've got civil, we've got environmental engineering, industrial engineering, materials and manufacturing engineering, the traditional mechanical engineering. So a little bit new in the world, we have mechatronics engineering. Okay, we also have petrochemical engineering. Okay, now talk about something, the hot topic. Of course, the hottest topic right now. Everyone probably is talking about COVID-19. Okay, everyone is talking about so something called the life under the new normal. So, but in technical, basically the hot keyword are the new thing. Okay, are artificial intelligence, 5G, Internet of Things, big data, fourth industrial revolution. Okay, all this, whenever you talk about artificial intelligence, whenever you talk about Internet of Things, whenever you talk about, let's say, big data, fourth industrial revolution, okay. So they are in actual fact closely related to my department, because whenever you talk about fourth industrial revolution, basically one of the keywords, cyber physical system, you need to put a lot of IoT sensors to the machine. Okay, when you put a lot of IoT sensor to the machine, the sense from one sensor to the other sensor needs to communicate with each other, and very often these sensors are electronic sensors. Okay, fourth industrial revolution, one key component is electrical and electronic. Artificial intelligence basically, is closely related to electrical and electronic. Okay, if you talk about, let's say, the big data analytics, one of the course, in my department is a programming course. Okay, but the programming course focuses a lot into the case study, how to make use of programming skill to solve big data analysis problem. Okay, now, so fourth industrial revolution, we talk about, artificial intelligence. We talk about Internet of Things. Why we talk about Internet of Things? Because for fourth industrial revolution, we need to put a lot of sensors into the machine. We need to put a lot of sensors into the factory. Okay, so this kind of the sensors, they are connected to each other, and basically the data collected from this kind of the sensor, they need to be sent to the cloud. Okay, so that the cloud can analyze the data. Okay, using big data analytics. So artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, all these, they are closely related to my department, which is electrical and electronics engineering. Okay, now we talk about fourth industrial revolution. Yeah, one of the best platform if you want to do well in fourth industrial revolution is to go for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths. Okay, something like to probably some advice to students. The keyword. So the key message I would like to bring to all students who are listening, or either you are joining the webinar from Zoom, or probably some of you are attending the Facebook live session, or probably in the future for those who play the recorded video. So something you need to remember is what we call lifelong learning. Okay, the meaning of lifelong learning is keep on learning new skill. Like, for example, as a university lecturer, okay, under the old normal, so all the university lecturer, we know how to conduct face-to-face lecture. But under the new normal, under the lifelong learning, okay, we have to learn a new skill. A new skill is, for example, how to conduct webinar, how to run training from online. Okay, the other keyword is, under the fourth industrial revolution, under artificial intelligence. Okay, so something artificial intelligence cannot do at the moment, it is creativity. Okay, for example, to design something. Okay, let's say how to design a machine which is able to check the body temperature, to check whether the person is wearing a face mask, and also to check whether the person has checked in using My Sejahtera apps. At the moment, artificial intelligence is not able to do a lot of design. Artificial intelligence can only do some routine work. Some routine work, for example, artificial intelligence is able to check the body temperature. Okay. Now, at my faculty, not only in electrical electronic engineering, okay, my faculty, we have got, for example, some of you, love mathematics, okay, or if some of you say, oh, I love mathematics, I would like to eventually, I want to become, I want to work in insurance company, okay, then you can actually consider our actual science program. Some of you say, oh, I just love programming. So I just love programming. So if you love programming, if you love computer science, then you can seriously consider our software engineering. Some of you who say, oh, I want to know a lot of fundamentals. I want to know a lot of why this happened, why that happened. Okay, then can consider our Bachelor of Science in Physics. Some will say, oh, I just love to design a building, to design, let's say, a fantastic building. Then, okay, you can consider our architecture. Okay, some will say, oh, I would love to do the costing of a building. Then you can consider our QS, Bachelor of Science in QS. And also, we have quite a number of the engineering programs. The traditional engineering program like civil engineering, mechanical engineering, the traditional, a little bit traditional electrical electronic, to the new one like a little bit new like mechatronics engineering, electronic and computer, electronic and communication engineering, and also very new electronic and computer networking engineering. I would say my advice is, so it all depends on what you love. Okay, what you actually love. There's no point, for example, okay, if you know or you just love programming, you can spend hours and hours doing programming in front of the computer. There's no point so for you to do physics, because my suggestion is ask yourself a question. So what you love to do? Okay, so if the situation allows, could study something you love to do. Okay, our mathematics, we have got actual science, applied maths with computing. We have got Bachelor of Science, financial mathematics. Okay, and then these are all a little bit about detail. For the other one is software engineering. So so we have got a Bachelor of Science in software engineering for those who love programming, for those who love computer science. So you can actually consider our software engineering. Our physics. So this is a classical physics, but our physics program, our niche area, our specialization is basically more towards applied physics. We have got also architecture, QS. So other different engineering, we have got biomedical engineering, chemical engineering, the traditional civil engineering, my department, electrical electronic engineering. I've mentioned electronic and communications engineering, computer network engineering, materials and manufacturing, mechanical engineering, mechatronics engineering. Okay, so okay, Utah. So we focuses, of course, into the fundamentals of technical knowledge. Not only that, so before the COVID, they actually at Utah we organize a lot of activities to students. For example, technical basic to company, guest lecture from industry expert, guest lecture, different kinds of activities. Okay, why Utah? First thing, we are affordable. We are value for money. So not only affordable, we are affordable, reputable, and employable. Why we are reputable? Okay, look at our ranking. So I think consistently for the past 2-3 years, Utah, we are ranked number 2 in Malaysia, according to Times Higher Education System World University ranking. Of course, the other one is we are employable. But very often, a lot of probably company, so they contact me, say, hey Chian, we are now hiring electrical engineering or electronic engineering. Can you recommend some of your final year student for interview? So we are actually employable. Okay, so not only that, we provide all the necessary learning environment, the lab also, we have got a high employment rate. So we have got the necessary lab. Okay, something I would like to emphasize is, so far, all the engineering programs at Utah, they are 100% accredited by Engineering Accreditation Council. So it means, so engineering graduates from Utah, upon their graduation, they can go to Board of Engineer Malaysia and register as graduate engineer. Because according to Malaysian law, no one can practice as engineer. So unless you are registered with Board of Engineer Malaysia as graduate engineer. Of course, from graduate engineer until you reach professional engineer, so you need to accumulate quite a number of experience, go through some of the interviews, some tests. So from graduate engineer eventually to become professional engineer. So not only that, we receive quite a lot of the strong support from the industry, and also we have quite a lot of the collaboration with overseas industry, overseas university. Okay, so this is I end my presentation. So I think Ken, I pass it back to you.
Yeah, sure. Coming through. Okay. Yeah. So you see me, right, Dr. Chan? Yeah. Thank you so much for this very meaningful sharing section. So for our participant here, if you have some questions, you are feel free to post in this chat box or even in the Q&A section. In the meantime, I would actually like your help to actually help me to fill up this evaluation form, which I just share on the chat box. This is just a simple evaluation form, like regarding, do you think our webinar is it good enough or informative or not lah. So likely appreciate you give us some feedback. Okay. So for you to know more, we're actually running this cyber open day daily from 9 to 5. We're having this live chat. Feel free to visit us. Okay. So in the meantime, you can put your questions in the chat box so we can review it together. Okay. Dr. Chian, you there?
I'm here.
Yeah. While waiting our participant to fill up the evaluation form and also type in some questions, actually, I would like to ask a question. Yeah. Like in this upcoming 5G or this AI industry, will like this AI actually replace our engineer, or like is it like will reduce the opportunity our engineer get employed if this AI coming in?
Yep. So thank you, Ken. This is actually a good question.
Mm,
At the upcoming era of 5G, at the upcoming era of artificial intelligence, actually we need lots more engineers. So why we need more and more engineers? Because as I mentioned just now, so engineers is to solve problems.
mm,
So it's to solve complex problem, come up with new solution. Okay, AI probably is something new. 5G is probably something new. And
mm,
whenever you talk about new things, they need people to go to learn what's a new thing, and also based on the new thing to come up with new innovative solution. Come up with new innovative solution, like for example, just we need engineers to improve the current, let's say, current system at Utah. So the current system, not only at Utah, it's common, I believe, common system, employed by lots of building, lots of companies, is the AI system is able to scan the temperature automatically. And some system I've seen is able to check whether you are wearing a face mask, but the system is not able to check whether you have logged in, you have checked in using My Sejahtera. So we need, and it would be good, we get some engineers to work with some programmers to improve the machine so that machine can do everything. When
mm,
machine can do everything, we don't actually need to hire a person at the entrance just to check whether you are wearing a face mask, to check what is your temperature, to check whether you are checking using My Sejahtera. Yeah. So basically, at the moment,
mm,
AI, artificial intelligence, is not able to play a role in active learning. So, we need to teach, we need to ask AI machine, you go to learn this one. If we don't ask the AI machine to go and learn something new, so AI will probably unable to learn by themselves. So in conclusion, so at the coming 5G and AI, we actually need more and more engineers to solve more and more complex problems.
okay, okay. So thanks for sharing. So we more concrete way, like engineers still be needed in this upcoming for industrial revolution to overcome more and more complex or even more higher level of problem, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Mm.
okay, that's good. Well, okay. There's also another question here. Just now you sharing about some of our lecturers and our student are go through this Huawei networking projects or some Huawei academic center. Can you like share more about that one on like how our student can actually go through this kind of academic center or get a Huawei certificate to have a better employment rate?
Okay, thank you so much. A good question. So, Utah is actually one of the very few universities in Malaysia who have the opportunity to be part of Huawei ICT Academy. Okay,
Mhm,
so how the Huawei ICT Academy, will benefit Utah students, especially my department student, for those who study electrical electronics, especially for those who study communication engineering, for those who study computer networking engineering. Okay, the lecturer will actually access to Huawei teaching material so that we teach industry material so that students will actually, upon their graduation from Utah, they can, straight away be, let's say, absorbed by Huawei or Huawei partner. On top of that, so after the student, they've taken, a subject like, for example, data communication. Our student has the opportunity, anyway, this is an option, not compulsory at the moment, but they will be given the opportunity to sit for Huawei certification exam. Okay, when you sit for Huawei certification exam and you pass the exam, actually you have a very high chance to get employed by Huawei upon the graduation from Utah. Because what I know, so requirement is, so if someone want to become an engineer at Huawei, so the engineer needs to have some Huawei certification.
Okay. Sounds very interesting. So this is an add value for our student to actually advise them to actually go sit for this Huawei so they can have a better job opportunity in future, right?
Yes, this is something available at Utah and not available at a lot of universities in Malaysia.
Oh, okay. So I can say only like Utah, like one of the selected by Huawei lah.
Yes, one of the very few selected by Huawei.
Very few. Okay, okay. That's good to hear. Wow. There's another thing. I think a lot of people will ask you this question. Some parents will ask you as well. Like, if their son and daughter actually go for this engineering field, like roughly the prospect or the salary for currently the engineers is how much? Because you teach a lot of students before, I think you have experience in this area.
Basically, I would say
Mm.
typically the average starting pay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about from electrical, electronic related, it is
Mm-hmm.
at the moment typically around 3,500.
Wow. Okay.
Some companies they pay low. Some companies they pay 4,004 plus.
Wow. Okay.
Company I mentioned a lot just now. I just cannot mention again.
Oh, okay. Understand. Wow. Quite a high pay for a fresh graduate, yeah.
About 4,000, but the requirement is very high.
Oh, yeah, expected lah. Expected, right? Because they're giving us some high pay. So, yeah, of course, you need to have this kind of capability to help them. Okay, so is there any other questions from the floor? Okay. So, maybe our last questions lah on this one. Like, to become like from a graduate engineer, slowly move through, become like a professional, get the IR title. What would the best advice you can give to our future students or current students that wish to work, become a professional engineer? What kind of like attitude or what kind of knowledge they should prepare to sit for this IR exam? Like your best advice for them.
The only one thing is keep on learning, lifelong learning. Need to keep on learning. So because especially in the fast-moving industry, like for example, computer networking, artificial intelligence, electronics, telecommunication, you need to keep on learning. Probably a new skill Ken and myself learned over the past couple of months is how to conduct Zoom webinar. This is
Yes.
we learn.
Yes, totally agree. When this MCO kick in, we will start to learn all these things.
Keep on learning.
Mm, 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 mm. So, just curious lah. You took how long to like starting from an engineer? How long you work your way to become a professional engineer?
For me, basically, ideally, probably is about 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
Which mean like starting fresh graduate.
From fresh graduate. So under the supervision of another professional engineer.
Oh, okay. Okay. So work your way through. Then I believe there's some logbook there or some experienced student need to fulfill, right?
Yes.
So after that you can submit to become the professional engineer.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. So for those who are interested to become an engineer, remember what Dr. Chang said, keep on learning. Although you are already a graduate, make sure you keep on learning to absorb some new knowledge from the industry and also the latest technology. So this can enhance your futures and have another chance to become a professional engineer. Okay. So I think basically this end our webinar today. I saw there's no question from the floor. No more questions on the floor. So thank you so much, Dr. Chang, for your time to have this very nice sharing section in this afternoon. Okay.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah. So thank you everyone to joining us in this afternoons.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you, Dr. Chang. Thank you. Bye bye. Yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in this webinar. So we end our webinar today. So we have more upcoming webinar in the next few days. You can see on the slide. If you are interested, you can feel free to visit our website at study.edu.my, or you can call our hotline or WhatsApp to us, or even you can email to us in the inquiry@utah.edu.my. Our Facebook also equipped with this live chat where you can chat with us from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay. So without any further delay, not wasting everyone's time, say bye-bye to everyone. So we will see you next time. Okay. So basically 走完了啦哈。现在我只想知道一下有多少个人，然后 Facebook 多少个人啊？
OK，在 Zoom 里面呢，
两个。
你是碰了最高纪录2个。
嗯。
然
FB
后在
还没有 stop，FB 还
Facebook
没有 stop，是不是？
哦。OK。
Oh shit。
这样子啊，莎莎。